Saeed, I think it's really a pleasure having you in the show. You're one of the people that immediately responded back to me. You trusted the show and you didn't look for any history, and you believed in the project at the beginning. Our brief call was such a smooth discussion and alignment on what we're going to discuss, so welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Mahmoud, and I'm very grateful to be here today. To be honest with you, this is my first podcast, and when I received your message, I immediately I couldn't say no to you.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for having me, and I hope that today's podcast will be interesting for people to be inspired and to learn something new. Thank you so much.
I have no doubt that will be an inspiring podcast. This is my first podcast as well, so we're new to that together.
Okay.
So we're going to learn together on that. Okay. So the best way to introduce someone is to ask him about his purpose in life, because everything is linked with your purpose. Why you're doing this on every day. So what is your purpose in life, Saeed?
See, Mahmoud, one of the things I like is, and I've always been told, is I'm a dreamer. I'm very much visionary, and probably this is why I like to try new things. And for that, I like to inspire people. So one of the things that I've figured out only recently, but long time ago, but recently, I thought maybe I could inspire people. Why is that? Why is that so important for me? When I looked at this thing, I like to see people in action, to be completely honest with you. It's so lovely. And when we are all, as human beings, we're all having potential at the end of the day, but we have some blocks. And it's so beautiful when you unblock that and look at how people are performing and how they're basically doing things in life. And that's basically really very inspiring for me. So when I see people performing, when I see them high performers, this is really something that I value and admire a lot in people. And what's really nice is it has a domino effect. So imagine I inspire you today. I'm sure you're going to inspire someone tomorrow. So it's that domino effect, which is really fantastic. This is, I think, in a nutshell, my mission in life, I would say.
So your mission in life to inspire people?
Absolutely. As much as I can.
Okay.
As much as I can.
Inspiring people is not an easy job. You need to lead by example, to be a source of an inspiration for the people. You need to walk the talk, to be a role model for the people, so you can be a source of an inspiration. And being in the business and corporate and hectic life, you get hits up right and left and center all the day. How you keep your purpose flowering? How you keep your purpose maintained?
Yeah, that's a difficult one. We live in a world where we can't really eliminate that noise. It's inevitable. It's going to be there. And it's all about us to see how we can figure out, or basically, let me say, how can we filter that in a way where we basically live our purposeful life, I would say. And you would get that over time. One of the things that would help you do that is really self-awareness, really knowing yourself. And basically, by knowing yourself more, you can, I would say, navigate well in such an environment. That's, I think, the first thing that people need to keep in mind when they go through noises and stuff, whether it is at home, whether it is basically at work. It could be anywhere. Noises, even when you drive a car, it's noise. People are basically, you're driving you're not driving by yourself. You're driving with a lot of drivers, and there are signs, a bridge is basically in front of you. So it's applicable everywhere in life, the way I look at it.
So you mentioned the self-awareness. Do you think that if you don't have self-awareness, you won't be able to inspire people? If this is the foundation to inspire people, that you have a self-reliance, self-awareness?
See, self-awareness, I don't have to inspire people for me to be self-aware, to be completely honest with you. Self-awareness is really something that everyone should do. Whether you want to inspire people, whether you have another purpose in life or mission, it doesn't matter. As much as you basically have that self-awareness, I think you will basically achieve your purpose in life. So, I mean, it's a very difficult one. I have to be honest with you. In such a noisy environment, there are actually ways where you can basically understand where do you fit. If you stay where you are, okay, and don't experiment, because as we grow, when we used to be kids, for example, we're very playful. We don't care, okay, no boundaries. Okay, maybe our parents will be shouting at us, sometimes, or whipping our back. Okay, it's fine, it's okay, we're used to that. But ultimately, we're kids. We're gonna basically find our ways to basically come back to that personality. As we grow up, we miss that. And then you're basically trying to come, I would say, adapt to where you live and then adapt yourself to the environment. That's not you. That's not self-awareness. That's not the authentic person that you would want to basically show the world that aspect of yourself. That's the way I look at it.
So if you said that self-awareness is an evolvement process, when did you realize that I need to work on my self-awareness? If there's a break-even point that you said, pause for a second, I need to ask myself a few questions. Mm-hmm. When did you reach this maturity to ensure that self-awareness is extremely important for you to inspire people?
Yeah. Actually, there are many ways for you to have that self-awareness. It depends who you are and stuff. Whatever works for me may not work for you, Mahmoud, for example. For me, if you want to have that self-awareness, you basically need to be open-minded. Figure about that you have boundaries. I mean, I'm going to tell you when I had that. Forget that you have boundaries. Forget that there is some sort of, how can I say it? A bar for you to look up. Forget that. So be open-minded. And then something that I like is be curious, be playful, experiment with it. There's no harm in that. And that's basically very important for us to basically, how can I say it? To basically experiment with new things, or even just figure out whether that works for me or not. And then you're going to basically try new things. Of course, within, it has to be within some guidelines specifically, but then you will understand, oh, that's me. Oh, I need to change that. Oh, okay, maybe I need to basically fit there. And then I would say that we need to be very much close to our consciousness. And this is a difficult one. And for that, you need to practice mindfulness. I've learned that in 2019 to be much more mindful, I would say. And there are many ways to do that. You can journal, which is basically something very easy to be done, but you can always journal before you go to bed and then see how did your day go. And that basically becoming much more conscious about what you did. Did you do something wrong? How can I change that? Did I react differently in that mode? And then a lot of people also, there are many ways. Some people would have a mindful walk in the morning just to connect with themselves. Meditation could be one. I've been doing meditation now since 2019 consistently. And it's a very difficult practice, to be completely honest with you. When you're sitting doing nothing, it's boring. But it teaches you to be much more mindful, I would say. Then something that I would say that I've learned the hard way is listen. Listening, just listen around. Just don't talk, just listen. And I've learned that by listening, you learn more. Even kids, if you listen to your kids, if you listen to anyone, you learn more. You know about yourself more. I would say the last one is ask for feedback. That's a difficult one. Now, why did I make this one the last one? Because the first self-awareness that happened to me was when I received my first feedback, to be honest with you. This was a very detailed self-assessment, an assessment about me, my strength and areas for development. And it was a 360 feedback. You cannot imagine that I could not sleep for 2 days. I couldn't sleep for 2 days.
What was written in that feedback, if I may ask?
It's not about what was written, okay? But it was, how did I take it? How did I take it? Yeah? If I was in a denial mood, which I was, by the way, then I'm not going to basically read that. I'm just going to say, okay, I don't care about these guys. Okay, what the heck? So, and then you're going to continue with that. But if you just take it, it's a tough one. It's not easy, by the way. If you just take it, process it for a while, and then see how it goes. So I've read it. I really didn't understand it. And I said, this is not me, man. Seriously, I'll be honest with you. And then I read it after 1 year. Can you believe that? Can I be honest with you?
Yeah, please.
That was a spot on picture of me. To be honest with you. Spot on. Spot on. Then I read it after another year. 100%. So, self-awareness is a very difficult practice. But it's how you do basically take it. If you have that open mind, like, okay, probably that's right. There's something there for me. Can I look at it? And can I be a bit curious about it? Why are they saying that? Maybe I did this. Maybe I did that. Maybe when I'm this and that, you know what happens? And then just listen. Because when you read, you're listening, by the way. Because you're just taking that feedback. So if you look at, and then you're being mindful about yourself. Because, come on, 2 days I didn't sleep. Come on, can you believe that? It's not worth it. Just take it, process it. And that's, for me, self-awareness. Is a very difficult one, but it teaches you who you are and who is the real person. Whether it's Mahmoud, that's my mission, that's my values in life. And then it helps you out in your career, in your life, in your family, whatever. Yeah, that's the way I look at self-awareness. Yeah.
So you mentioned the feedback, which is extremely important.
Yeah. Okay? Why do you want to open the subject again?
No, I'm not going to go back to the feedback itself. But there is two approaches of the feedback.
Yeah.
One is someone is paying so much attention to the people, opinion, feedback, whatsoever. Another approach that I don't care about people, what they think about me, whatever they hate me, I know where I'm heading. I know exactly what I'm doing. How do you find the balance in between? Should we care about every single feedback we receive from anyone, anywhere, at any point of time and work in it? Maybe it's not correct or it's not right. And at the same time, it's not right to deny any feedback at all. How do you keep the balance between both?
I would take it with a pinch of salt. Okay? Because for you, it may sound as if it is, I don't care about it. Yeah? And that's denial. Okay? You know yourself very well. You've been there. So someone, and this feedback aspect is a bit too, for me, I feel it's too subjective. Because if you think about it, and I'm not trying to create excuses, by the way, but reality is accept it. Accept it. That's number one. It's very important. Whether it's not you, maybe it's you, just accept it. Because by accepting it, you're having peace with yourself. Okay? Number one. Number two, you're not going to basically have a grudge with the person who gave you that feedback. And then you know what happens. Oh, okay. Tomorrow I'm going to show this guy. We know what I'm saying, right? Yeah? I'm going to show this guy. But just, okay, it happened. And so what? Is it me? That's the first question that you need to ask yourself. Okay? If you feel this is not you, then just leave it. Just, it's fine. It's okay. It came. And then what? There's no attachment. And that's the beauty of being mindful, Mahmoud. Being mindful is you don't really have a grudge with yourself. And how do you do that is when you're attached to a feedback, when you're so attached to a point where you forget that you exist in life. It's feedback at the end of the day. It's how you take it. And then just be mindful about it. If this is you, then great. One way to do it is ask other people. Maybe that person gave you a feedback. One way to have that more or less balance is go ask some other person and say, listen, do you think I'm like that? It could be one way. There are many ways to basically balance that. Do you think I'm this way? What do you think about that? And then ask another guy if you're not basically if you're not confident that basically you're happy with the answer of one. Ask another person. Do you think I'm like that? And maybe they'll tell you, no, you're not. Then you basically, and that's what I say, accept it and then do something about it. Don't say, okay, that's rubbish. I'm not gonna even look at it. Yeah.
I think accepted is the secret
Yes.
concept here, that regardless of whatever the feedback, you have to accept it first
100%.
and then do the assessment.
Yes.
The other approach that you don't even accept it, then you have as you said, you have a challenge with your own self. You know, your inner peace is not on the right direction. So, especially speaking about the self-awareness, there is a paradox between being happy and successful, you know, in life, where people think that every successful person, he or she doesn't have to be happy, especially at home, at well-being and other facts of life. And if you're really good in other stuff, you will be just an average at work, at professional life, you know, not successful. What do you think of that? If there is a way to gather between being successful and happy at the same time?
There is a correlation between happier people being successful. Now, it all depends on people. Yeah? For you, there are things that are fulfilling. For me, there are things which are fulfilling. So, what really fulfills your, I would say, existence? That will naturally make you happy. Now, let me take myself as an example, just to make it simple. So, as a person, I'm a higher performer, to be completely honest with you. And people relate success to work, usually. But to be successful is, I can be successful by raising kids, good kids. I can be successful if I'm, for example, a good mother at home, a good father at home. I can be successful even at sports. It doesn't matter. Yeah? So it's what is basically fulfilling you as a person. Now, for me specifically, I was asked this question. Do you love your job? Yeah? I didn't answer that question, to be honest with you, yeah? But what I love in life is to be in that journey, because when you're in that journey, you experiment so many things. You experiment the ups, you experiment the downs. There are so many things in it, and you learn a lot within the journey. So it doesn't matter how long it is. It could be 1 day, 1 year, whatever. So I love that. For me, I love that, irrespective of what I'm doing. And then the second thing is this sense of achievement is really important for me specifically. And that's why this is something that I really admire. Now, where is it? Is it in work? Is it at home? It doesn't matter. Something that also I enjoy is, interacting with people. I love interacting with people, usually. And I love to see people interacting. It's just a beautiful, I would say, energy or vibe, I would call it. So for me, that really makes me happy, I would say. So it's not necessarily linked to being successful. But again, I'm happy, then I'm going to be definitely successful. So it doesn't matter which one do you put first. You could be successful and happy, but you could be happy and successful. And then the last one is, I try my level best, which is very difficult, to enjoy each and every moment. So I'm with you right now in the podcast. I need to enjoy this. To be completely honest with you. If I'm driving, I try my level best to enjoy that. By turning up the music, doing something. It's just how can you basically fill that moment and connect with yourself. I think that's the way I would look at it. So for me is, what's really fulfilling you as a person? That will make you happy, and it will definitely make you successful. It doesn't matter. And again, it doesn't mean that success is basically related to work only.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the way I look at it.
So speaking about work, if I go to the some of the tricky question, how do you define success at work? Because same as you said, as a relative concept, you can be successful at home, in sports, as a good father. It depends everyone, the definition of the success from one person to other person. But if you just speak about the success at work itself, do you think the success at work is just to achieve target, getting promoted, doing multiple rotation, changing companies? How do you define success at work?
I was thinking this when I joined, when I basically my first career. I was thinking that to be successful, as you mentioned, you need to have a very good career, which is normal. By the way, it's normal. You need to have a very good career. You need to basically have grades, etc. This and that. But then, when you look at it, if that's your objective, you're missing a lot. Okay, this is important. It's an outcome, I would say. Getting promoted is an outcome. For you to get promoted, you need to do a lot of things. If you're doing it just to get promoted, you're missing a lot.
True.
Okay? That's what I'm trying to explain. Just enjoy it. Just be yourself. And then you are going to get promoted. Maybe not in your current job, but maybe in another job. Maybe not tomorrow, but maybe the day after. So it's where your passion is. Is this something that you like? I'm a chemical engineer. Okay? When I graduated and did my first job, it was absolutely correlated to what I did. But the question is, did I love it? Did I like it? If you ask me, no. It was a different reality. It was a completely different reality. I would definitely go back to college and study something else. I'm not going to tell you what. But reality is, it's what you like. What's your passion? You can have an engineer doing a finance job. You can have, I don't know, someone who studied psychology to do marketing. Whatever. It's how you as a person taking that task passionately. Going around it, asking people, figuring out, doing a lot of things around it. And then just showing what your work is all about. And not being passive. You have to basically show the whole company, your team, your manager, that you are there and you want to create an impact. You want to create value. This is number one. It's very important. And then I think you're going to be successful at work. You're definitely going to be successful. You're going to get promoted. And who knows? Getting one grade today is not better than being a CEO in 5 years' time from today. You see what I'm saying? So the longer term is better than getting one grade.
True.
So it's all about, where are you? Are you passionate about work? Is the environment helping you today to basically give and be productive, etc.? Do you have people who are supporting you to give the best in you? These are very important ingredients for you to learn, improve, and trust me, you are gonna get eventually a promotion or a much more better job.
So you mentioned that someone with engineering background can do finance. So let's jump to the question related to engineering and finance at the same time. The conflict between growth and profit. Whether you go extremely competitive and you grow the business, but it's not sustainable because the profit is the benchmark where you can make sure that you create value and have sustainable business, or be an extremely picky and selective in your growth, and at the same time you drive a very strong profit at the same time. How do you see it?
It depends.
Depends.
To be honest with you.
It depends, dude. Yeah. This is the secret to answer any question.
It depends. I mean, why not do both?
How?
Yeah. Again, it depends where you are. Take an example, a startup or a new company. You can't ask them for profit from day one. It's difficult. So they need to grow. So for me, I think it depends on the vision and where do you want to be. Some people, I would say, have a misconception about profit and valuation. Because today, if you want to make money, you can make money. But is that what the big companies are doing today? If you look at the large companies, they're looking at the valuation of the company. Their shares, their basically share price in the market. Profit is also something important for them. So for me is, what's your vision? Do you want to basically attract more investors in the business? So your growth strategy is very important. Very important. Because that's a long term. You have a growth strategy in place, and then if that growth strategy is something of an interest, then after 3-4 years, you're going to make more money compared to an existing company. Look at all the startups today. For example, take Tesla when they started. Their strategy basically was, okay, we're going to make this electrical car. You and I were like, okay, what are these guys doing? They're definitely not making money. But they were investing a lot of money for that technology. Look at them today. So it depends where you are. Now, I'm not saying let's forget about profit. No. I'll give you an example where it's growth and profit. Let's say that you're opening a new market. You have an existing company. It's making money. And then you're opening a new market. You're creating a new product. You're basically introducing a new product. This is growth. And it could be also generating more profit from that market because you've been intelligent, you did your homework, and then you're basically capturing that market. And this is basically both. Now, for me, I find growth to be in a growth company business more enjoyable as Saeed. Okay?
Of course.
Because you learn a lot when you are in a company which is growing. And this is exactly applicable on me, because when I joined my recent company, it was in a growth stage. And we've been through a lot of things. A lot. You cannot imagine. So what you learn in 1 year is equivalent to 5 years in another company.
In the growth years?
Yes.
Okay.
Because you're growing. You need to grow. And you're learning new things, new that. It's not a company where it's the same routine, you know? Okay, go get, okay, just sell more. No, it's not like that. You need to grow and tell the whole world that you're there. It's a difficult one. So you learn a lot. This is me. But again, we are all in, I think we're all in corporations, and we need to be mindful of their existence. So naturally, we're there to assist in their profitability as well. That's the way I look at it.
Okay. So this is a very good point related to the enjoy of the growth, where you experiment out of the box ideas to grow the business, to be more disruptive. To be honest with you, the actions related to the profit is clear. It's mainly maximize your top line, cut or efficient your cost, invest where there is high return. That's how you maximize your profit. But when it comes to growth, I agree with you. It's more into more exciting, tapping untapped opportunity, markets, idea, innovation, because you need to grow disruptive growth, not like, as you said, sell more out of that. So the perception about finance that they are the profit gatekeeper. Okay. Now the question is, how do you see finance can add value in the company growth, not profit?
Yeah. See, money is it's a universal language. It's really easy that anyone can understand. I think you and I know that. So 10 dirhams is 10 dirhams. So it's a no-brainer. When I tell you that this cup is made of this and that, and it's made from this chemical, and it's made of this and made of that, but it costs 10 dirham, it's going to be confusing a bit. So for me, finance is the language that anyone can understand. So it's an important thing. It's not as boring as doing a budget. So if you look at finance today, it could, I mean, how can I put it? So there is project finance. Project finance is all about, there is a project. Is it feasible? So you need to create a complete model around the feasibility of that project. So a lot of inputs need to come. And trust me, everyone will be listening to the CFO at the end of the day, whether it makes sense to go or not. That's number one. Number two, how are you going to finance that project? Today, financing is very creative. To be completely honest with you, it's super creative. It's not as boring as, okay, let me go to the bank and get some money. No, it's just so interesting. You know, crowd sharing. So many things are there today. So you can finance a project today, but what's your mean? What's the cheapest way? What is the right way to do it? What's the most optimum way to do it? And then, you know, today we basically are in a world where we exist and we can invest anywhere in the world. So let me say I'm going to invest in another country. So there are risks around it, and there are mechanisms on what's the right approach to go there and basically finance it, and finding the right partner, the banks, etc. So when it comes to project financing, for me, I feel it's very creative and it's very critical. It can basically put a project, it can basically make a project alive, or it can put it to death, to be honest with you. Now, when it comes to running a business, finance is everywhere. Is everywhere, to be honest with you. I mean, look at procurement, for example. There's something called total cost of ownership. Okay, so you can buy something expensive, but the life cycle is longer. And for that, you need people with a little bit of financial background to assist you with measuring whether it makes sense or it doesn't make sense. There are many examples. Another example is, okay, let's say I'm selling to different countries, different regions, different customers, and each one gives me a different profitability. It would be nice to have a model where you optimize. So it could be, I mean, it's not like, okay, what's the budget? No. For me, they are providing guidance and clarity on what decisions to take, whether it's procurement, sales, marketing, etc. And also look at managing your business, because when you look at working capital, for example, cash, how are you getting the cash? And how are you basically ensuring that you're not, I would say, loaded with a lot of cash that will cripple the company? It's very important. Is it basically short-term financing? Is it something that you're basically generating from your operating cash? Where is it? So it's very creative how to manage the resources that you have today. And so on. I can be basically endless when I talk about finance, but it's basically, I think very critical and very crucial for the existence of any company, to be honest with you.
I love this answer, Saeed, because in many other industries, especially startup and small, medium companies, not the big corporation, the perception about finance is only bookkeeping. Where I'll quote what you said, we can tell them you're missing a lot because finance can bring so many values in the company growth, especially startup. As you said, they are looking for the growth at early stage in that sense. And the basic understanding of the procurement as well. So procurement is not a finance person, finance background. But if you can take the judgmental call of the lifetime of the stuff he or she is buying versus the cost, and then make some judgmental call, commercial call, as you said, without even consulting with any finance person, but with the basic financials or finance awareness, they can take the right decision at early stage. You being a senior in the company cannot observe every single decision on the organization, but you can work on injecting the knowledge across all the board, where only the critical decision should come to you.
So.
And then at early stage, everyone knows what's right and what's wrong without having a clear direction based on the basic financials and basic finance understanding in the organization. That's how you drive a healthy organization when everyone is aware what is finance and what is our target and what exactly the mission for this quarter, for this month.
Absolutely, 100%. Now,
you said that no one can say no to the CFO, as you said a few minutes ago.
Did I say that?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
Everything is recorded, by the way. Now, from a commercial lens and CFO lens, I do believe that the CFO, the non-traditional CFO, let me call it this way, is a true finance business partner. He or she should be the person asking for more disruptive growth, invest more money behind the right bucket, not like a typical budget cut direction. Now, how do you manage your relation, your communication, your work stream, not relation, your work stream with the CFO, especially when it comes to the commercial side and the finance side of that?
Yeah, so let me just say that I'm not saying, okay, the CFO role is very important. He is kind of the guy who mediate, within the business. So he knows what's basically happening. From a production point of view, I mean, let's look at a manufacturing company, for example. So they look at, he knows what's the production, what's the sales, how is the business. So he's like the gauge. So it's important to have that, I would say, channel of information flowing as much as possible, both ways. Very important. Because then you're gonna gauge with the CFO. How are you doing? Are you okay? Shall we speed up? What do you think? What do you think about that? Do you think that this is the right way to do it? Again, you mentioned cost reduction or budget cutting. That it depends on what's your strategy today. Okay, you may be in a world today, in an environment or a market where it is very competitive. So cost reduction is something that you have to do anyway and live with it. Okay, it's not like the CFO loves to do it. No, it's a company strategy and everyone needs to do it. But it could be something else. It could be something like, for example, we are operating in a volatile market, for example, where it depends on the prices. All right. And for me to operate in that market and protect my position and risk, it's important to involve the CFO, because he will advise me or she will advise me on what's the best way to operate to minimize that risk. It could be by hedging the prices, hedging the raw materials, looking at some specific mechanisms around protecting the business, protecting the interest of the business, etc. So that basically communication of information between each other is very important. That's the way I look at it, to be honest with you, Mahmoud.
Okay. So the awareness that the mandate or the direction from the CFO should be in line with the company strategy. So I think this requires a lot of communication, Saeed, to the wider audience, not only to the board. the maturity of the board is at best. I fully understanding the rationale behind every decision. I think the way we communicate the news, the direction, the strategy to the entire company, where everyone can be behind one target, that's the key. Not only the board. The board, they excellent when it comes to financials and understand what exactly the direction and the impact on every decision. But the way I see it in most of the companies, they just air the news, budget cut because our situation is not good, or drive more growth because this is what we need today. There is no further explanation behind the board decision at the end. So communication plays a bigger role here to get everyone around the table. So speaking about the growth as well and inflation, remember we had a discussion about the sustainability when it comes to overall as a sustainability impact to the environment. With the current disruptive world and inflation as an overall, what is your view on sustainability?
Let me say that the UAE has announced that the year 2023 will be the year of sustainability.
True.
So, I mean, this shows that our government is engaged, and it's basically of a big interest for the UAE. It's not only the UAE, but if you look around, I think most of the countries today are taking measures around how can we basically be serious about sustainability. So, put simply, sustainability is how can we preserve the world in its current status? Because reality is everyone is saying we've done enough damage. And how can we preserve that in a way where we can make it much more, I would say, or let me say it this way, because we are all responsible for making a better world for the future generation. That's the way, I think that's the mandate of the world today. Now, where it comes a bit, I would say, difficult is that when you say sustainability, it means that the price will go up. Yeah? And that's the perception of people. Again, I go back and talk about Tesla. When they started, the car was very expensive actually. But when you create that, I would say, anchor, that, okay, sustainability is challenging, what are we going to do about it? You know, as human beings, we've been very creative actually throughout life. And we've always overcome problems. Today, there are plenty of car manufacturers on electrical or a battery base. It's available today. True. You can basically get it. So we always start with it's challenging. It's basically going to give me a high price. But it's going to come, eventually it's going to be the new normal. It's going to be the new reality, whether we like it or not. And we will find ways to basically make it much more affordable for people. That's the way I look at sustainability, to be honest with you, Mahmoud.
Okay. That's a beautiful approach, because the need, as a human being, the need make us find ways.
Absolutely. 100%.
So if we do believe in sustainability as a must, we will invent the ways to make it more affordable. I think that's the key message here. And even UAE, they are hosting the COP.
COP 28.
28, exactly. So the beauty that they are getting ready from now, 2023, always ahead of the game. I think by 2028, we have different readiness for sustainability everywhere, and especially in UAE as a country. Okay, so you've been a source of inspiration, your leadership style, in your writing, in your post on LinkedIn. If I would say, if you want to give an advice to someone to stay relevant in more disruptive world, you heard about ChatGPT, AI, taking jobs, losing jobs, and mashallah, you have team. How do you advise your team to stay relevant, to be current in the volatile world as we speak now?
See, I mean, for me, and I think everyone, we should expect change. It's a no-brainer, whether it's a personal or a professional level. Now, if you look around, the external environment has significantly changed. You talked about chat GPT. I think I was traveling last week, and my colleague asked chat GPT, who's Saeed Al-Ghafri?
Okay.
It gave him a very nice, actually, paragraph, to be honest with you.
Really?
I was shocked. But
I've
then
never tried this. I'll try this.
it gave it a disclaimer at the end where it says that, okay, it gave a disclaimer that this could not be accurate. But to be honest with you, it's just, it's changing. The environment is changing. So I could resist that. I could say, no, I'm not going to take that. But whoever did that did not basically excel in their life, or a company. They did not exist. So do we want to change? I think we have no option but to change. To be honest with you. Yeah.
So speaking about the change, what is your change philosophy?
So last year, I went to a course, and we learned a new way to basically how to live in a disruptive world. It's linked to Dr. John Cotter. It's basically, he has like an 8-step process, and it's more or less linked to that. So I would basically quote only 3, which are, I think, very important. Everything else is basically very normal. So the first one is create a sense of urgency. This is very important because you're in a disruptive world. And you know, when we have that sense of urgency, you know what happens? We are alert. We become motivated that we have no option but to change. We have to change, or else something else will happen. Yeah. The second thing, once you go around that and things are okay, then you mobilize your company, because everyone is ready now. خلاص يعني, it's emergency, you know. Mobilize your company, bring up resources, peoples, etc. around that. Change your strategy. Basically modify your strategy to factor in mind that we need to change, or else we're going to be basically eaten by competition, where this is what's going to happen, etc. Because if you don't, and that's a fact, then you're basically going to be eaten up by competition. For example, everyone started too small while you're too big. And then you saw them growing and then eating up the big ones.
True.
So why? Because that business was thought, okay, you know what? It's not urgent. Let me do it tomorrow. Let me do it the day after.
Because they're big.
They're big. And it became too late. And then they basically were gone. And the third thing here is communication is key. I would say, I would put 3 lines under communication. We need to communicate very well. Communicate your success. Communicate your quick wins. Communicate why are you changing. Okay? Because people need to know why are you changing, why it's so important. And then just frequently do that over time. I think these 3 things from the 8 steps are really key for, I would say, a change in my aspect.
So part of the change as well is to experiment, right?
Yeah.
But experimentation comes with cost. In a sense of urgency world, as you can see, everything is important and urgent as we speak now. So especially as a leader, how you create a safe zone for your team, for your kids, to experiment. And you calculate the risk associated with that, and you allow them to experiment, giving the sense of urgency that we're having now.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you basically want to try something new, you do it at a small scale, where I would say the damage or the losses are too small. I mean, that it depends on which company you're in. But for me, you try that, see how did it go, because when you change, you're gonna come up with a new strategy to the market, or a new strategy to be. Experiment with that. See, does it work? Does it not work? Definitely to come with a cost, Mahmoud. It's not going to be for free. But then this is basically the short-term fee that you have to pay for the longer-term existence in the market. You know, I was in, I don't know where. I don't know whether you remember the Kodak moment, the Kodak shot. Like you walk in theme parks or anywhere and then you see a sign that says, that's a Kodak moment. That doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I saw recently?
What?
That's an Instagrammable moment. Seriously. Yes. What?
Where did you see it?
I need to remember because I've been flying a lot in the past 6 months. But I saw it and I was honestly like, wow, this used to be basically Kodak moment. But look now. Everything is changing around us. And if you're not going to basically experiment with new things, then you're missing a lot.
Okay.
So there is definitely a cost for that. And we need to be ready to basically say, okay, we're willing to do that.
So, based on your advice on the change in today's world, if someone is joining a career as early career or still a student as we speak now, joining their early fresh job, today their first day of job, what advice would you give to them?
Yeah, that's a difficult one. I would say probably you wouldn't expect that, but take care of yourself. Because as you mature and get older, this is basically the vehicle that will either take you forward or backward. Because I'm talking about the body, the human being. So take care of yourself. This is, for me, critical. Because if you have that base and foundation, you can do anything. You can do anything. The second thing that I still do and I will do is be playful. Be playful. Just look around. You know, try this. Explore this. Just see how connected is that to you. No condition, no judgment, nothing. No attachment. Just be playful about it. Like, again, this is my first podcast, okay? And honestly, I had no expectation whatsoever. I just said, you know what, let me go and try it. Okay? So just be playful about it. I think the third thing and the last thing, and this is very important, really important, networking. Networking, build it. Build it. Have great networking as much as possible. Have your friends. Don't ignore your friends because of work. Grow your network, because the more your network you have, the more you're gonna learn. That could be anyone. Work, could be outside, could be friends. It could be going to an exhibition and meeting new people. Just have that network. I think these three things, if I would go back, I would definitely give this to anyone.
I wish, Saeed, if you gave me this advice 15, 16 years ago. But I think it's a very good advice for the early joiner of the work stream. And I think I'm linked to your purpose because you inspired me, especially on the well-being part, I have to say. So even following you and reading whatever you post, the minute you see a leader like you at certain point of their career and they reflect back and they tell you this is what really matters, then you pause and think, am I going on the right direction? Am I doing this in the right manner? So thank you very much for being a source of inspiration for me, Saeed. And I want to acknowledge this mind of let's do it, let's go for it. It helped me a lot. And as you can see, a message from you, I'm very excited for that, Reda. And then you see the value unlock that reflect on all the other guests I have after you confirm it in that booking as well.
Awesome.
That's the kind of reflection you left in me and in this podcast as well, being your first podcast as well.
Thank you so much, Mahmoud. I'm really grateful to be here. I think it was very exciting to be here. It's fun, actually. And I sincerely wish you the very best. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Saeed.
Thank you. Appreciate it.